The year was 2347. Humans had finally joined the stars. They were no longer alone in the universe. 200 different alien species lived among the galaxies, and they all came together in something called the Galactic Assembly. It was a place where all species could talk, trade, and keep peace. Humans were new to this world. They had only been part of the assembly for 50 years. To the older species, humans were like children, weak, small, unimportant. Many aliens looked at humans and saw nothing special. They saw soft skin, short lives, and small bodies. They did not see a threat. They did not see danger. They saw prey. They were one of the oldest warrior species in the galaxy. They stood 8 feet tall with gray skin and 4 arms. Their eyes were black as space itself. For 10,000 years they had conquered and destroyed. They believed strength was everything. The weak existed only to serve the strong, and in their eyes, humans were the weakest of all. On a space station called, something terrible was about to happen. Station floated in neutral space. It belonged to no one. Species from all over the galaxy came here to trade and talk. It was supposed to be safe. It was supposed to be peaceful. Ambassador Park had come to station for important talks. She was a human diplomat, respected by many for her calm voice and wise words. She had brought her daughter with her. The girl's name was, and she was only 8 years old. Had big, curious eyes and a smile that could warm any heart. She loved meeting new people, even aliens. Everything amazed her. The strange ships, the colorful aliens, the floating markets. She held her mother's hand and looked at everything with wonder. The delegation arrived that same day. Commander led them. He was tall even for and his face was always twisted in anger. He hated humans more than anything. He thought they were insects. He thought they did not deserve to breathe the same air as his kind. The talks began in a large hall. Representatives from many species sat at a great round table. Ambassador Park spoke of peace and cooperation. She spoke of trade agreements and shared knowledge. Her voice was gentle but strong. Interrupted her many times. He called humans weak. He called them cowards. He said they were a prey species pretending to be equals. Some aliens in the room laughed. Others stayed silent. No one defended the humans. No one told to stop. During a break in the talks, Little saw something beautiful in the station's garden. It was a small blue flower that grew in a pot near the window. She picked it carefully and held it in her small hands. She had an idea. Maybe if she gave a gift to the angry alien, he would not be so angry anymore. Walked toward with the flower in her hands. Her mother was talking to another diplomat and did not see her go. The little girl smiled up at the massive alien. He was so tall that she had to bend her neck all the way back to see his face. "This is for you," said in her small voice. "It is pretty. Maybe it will make you happy." The room went quiet. Everyone watched the tiny human child offering a flower to the commander. For a moment, nothing happened. Then looked down at with disgust in his black eyes. "You dare approach me," he growled. "You dare offer me this weed. You are nothing. Your species is nothing." Before anyone could move, raised one of his 4 arms. He struck across the face with the back of his hand. The sound was loud and terrible. The little girl flew through the air and crashed onto the hard floor. Blood poured from her face. Her jaw was broken. She did not move. Ambassador Park screamed. She ran to her daughter and fell to her knees. She lifted its broken body into her arms. Blood covered her hands and her clothes. Tears ran down her face as she begged her daughter to wake up. The whole thing was recorded. Cameras sent the images across the entire galaxy. Billions of beings watched a warrior strike a human child. They watched a mother hold her bleeding daughter. They watched and did nothing. Laughed, he looked at the other aliens in the room. "See how weak they are. They cannot even protect their young. They are prey, nothing more." No one spoke against him. No alien stepped forward to help. The assembly representatives looked away. They considered it a small matter, a cultural misunderstanding, not worth starting trouble over. Far away on a great warship called the Iron Promise, Admiral Hand sat in his command chair. He was an old soldier with gray hair and tired eyes. He had seen many things in his long life. He had fought in wars. He had watched friends die, but nothing had prepared him for what he saw on his screen. He watched Fall. He watched her blood spread across the floor. He watched her mother cry, and he watched the aliens do nothing. His officers stood around him in silence. They waited for their commander to speak. They waited for orders. The bridge was so quiet that they could hear their own hearts beating. Admiral Hand did not yell. He did not curse. He simply stood up from his chair with slow, careful movements. His face showed no emotion at all. That scared his crew more than any anger could. "Wake the War Council," he said. His voice was soft and cold. "Tell them the humans are done being prey. Tell them we are coming, and tell them to prepare for extinction." The message went out across human space. Every ship, every station, every colony, the humans had been patient. The humans had been peaceful. The humans had played the role of the weak newcomer. But someone had harmed a child, and now the galaxy would learn what humans really were. The news of spread across human space like fire. Every man, woman, and child saw the video. They saw the little girl offer a flower. They saw the alien strike her down. They saw her blood on the floor. And something changed in the heart of every human who watched. Earth's government acted fast. They sent a message to the Empire. The message was simple: give us. Let him face human justice for his crime. We want peace, but we demand justice. The Emperor, a massive creature named, received the message in his throne room. He read it twice. Then he laughed so hard that his servants had to step back in fear. He wrote his response with his own hand. "You want justice? Come and take it, little prey. We are not afraid of humans. We have crushed 1,000 species. You will be just another name on our list of conquests." The Galactic Assembly held an emergency meeting. Ambassador Park stood before them with bandages still on her hands from holding her daughter. She demanded action. She demanded that the Assembly punish them for their crime. The Assembly discussed. They debated, and in the end they did nothing. They called it a cultural misunderstanding. They said they had different customs. They said humans were too sensitive. One by one, every alien species refused to help. Ambassador Park walked out of that chamber with her head held high. She said nothing. She did not need to. The humans now knew they were alone, and they were fine with that. On Earth, in a building hidden deep underground, the War Council gathered. General sat at the head of the table. She was a small woman with short gray hair and eyes like ice. She had won more battles than anyone in human history. Every officer in the room feared and respected her. "The aliens think we are weak," she said. Her voice was quiet but sharp. "They think we are prey. They are about to learn how wrong they are." She pressed a button and a hologram appeared above the table. It showed ships, weapons, and plans that no alien had ever seen. Project Prometheus, the secret that humans had kept hidden for 200 years. Dr. Bay Sara stood up to explain. She was the weapons scientist in human history. Her creations had never been used. They were too terrible, too powerful. Humans had built them and prayed they would never need them. "We come from a death world," Dr. Bay Sara said. "Earth is covered in poison, disease, and predators. Every living thing on our planet fights to survive. We are the apex predators of a world that kills, and we have spent 10,000 years learning how to destroy." She showed them the weapons. Ships that could tear holes in space itself, bombs that could crack planets in half, soldiers in armor that could survive in the heart of a star, things that aliens could not even imagine, things born from a species that had evolved through constant war. "They have 10,000 warships," Dr. Bay Sara continued. "We have 2,000. They think numbers will save them. They do not understand that one human ship is worth 50 of theirs." General nodded slowly. She looked at every officer in the room. We have hidden our true strength because we wanted peace. We played the weak newcomer because we did not want war. But they hurt a child, our child, and now they will learn what humans do to those who harm our young. The orders went out that night. Every human in alien space was told to come home. They had 72 hours to leave. Ships flew in all directions, gathering humans from every corner of the galaxy. Merchants closed their shops. Workers left their jobs. Families packed their things and ran. The aliens laughed at first. They thought humans were running away in fear. They mocked them in the streets. They threw things at the evacuation ships. They called humans cowards and weaklings. Captain Lee watched from the bridge of his stealth destroyer, the Silent Fury. His ship was invisible to alien sensors. 50 more ships just like his floated in the darkness around space. No one knew they were there. No one would know until it was too late. "They are laughing at us," his first officer said. "They think we are afraid." Captain Lee smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Let them laugh. Soon they will learn that when a human runs, it is not from fear. It is so they can come back with a bigger weapon. Deep in space, hidden agents began their work. They had been there for years, pretending to be merchants and workers. Now they activated. They mapped every military base. They recorded every ship position. They counted every soldier. They had no idea that humans knew everything about them. Back on Earth, Little lay in a hospital bed. Her jaw was fixed with metal pins. Her face was wrapped in bandages. She could not speak, but she could hear. Her mother sat beside her, holding her hand. Doctors and nurses moved quietly around them. They did their work with tears in their eyes, not because the girl was hurt, because they knew what was coming for the ones who hurt her. The Emperor received a strange message one night. It appeared on his personal screen without warning. No one knew how it got through his security. The message was simple. It started with the video of being struck, every second of it, every detail. Then the screen changed. It showed maps, military installations, fleet positions, secret bases, everything. Every single secret was displayed in perfect detail. Then words appeared on the screen. They were written in the human language, but a translation followed. "You have harmed our child. We know where you sleep. We know where you hide. We know your every secret. There will be no negotiation. There will be no mercy. There will be no..." The Emperor stared at the screen. For the first time in his long life, he felt something he had never felt before. Fear. Cold, deep fear. He called for his generals. He ordered his fleets to mobilize. He demanded answers about how humans could know so much. But there were no answers. There was only the growing understanding that they had made a terrible mistake. Across human space, the war machine came to life. Ships that had sat silent for 100 years powered up their engines. Factories that had stood empty began to produce weapons. Soldiers who had lived in peace put on their armor and said goodbye to their families. Admiral Han stood on the bridge of the Iron Promise and looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, an 8-year-old girl was learning to smile again through her broken jaw. And somewhere out there, the ones who broke it were about to learn why humans were really called the monsters of Earth. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his officer said. Admiral Han nodded once. "Then let us go teach the galaxy a lesson it will never forget." The human fleet moved into the darkness of space. The storm had finally come. The Emperor believed in numbers. He had 10,000 warships. The humans had only 2,000. In his mind, the math was simple. His forces would crush the humans like insects. He gathered his fleet in the system and waited for the human attack. He wanted to end this war in a single battle. His commanders stood around him on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Victory. They were confident. They had conquered 100 species. They had never lost a war. The humans were just the prey to be hunted. "Let them come," the Emperor said. "We will show the galaxy what happens to those who threaten the..." The human fleet arrived 1 hour later. 2,000 ships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation. They were smaller than ships. They looked simpler. Some commanders laughed when they saw them. Admiral Han sat calmly in his command chair. His officers moved around him like a well-oiled machine. Every human knew their job. Every human was ready. "Send them one final message," Admiral Han said. "Tell them to surrender and we will spare their lives. This is their last chance." The message went out. The Emperor received it and laughed loud enough for his whole bridge to hear. He replied with a single word: "Never." Admiral Han closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, his face was stone. "Then may the stars forgive us for what we are about to do. All ships, weapons free." The battle began. The fleet charged forward, expecting to swarm the smaller human force. Their weapons fired, bright lights filling the void of space. Missiles flew. Energy beams cut through the darkness. It should have been an easy victory. It was a massacre, but not the kind they expected. Human ships activated weapons the galaxy had never seen. They bent space itself. Reality twisted and folded around vessels. Ships that were there 1 second simply were not there the next. Not destroyed, not damaged, just gone, erased from existence. Lieutenant Shin flew at the front of the human fighter squadrons. She was 23 years old and the youngest ace pilot in the fleet. Her small fighter moved like a dancer between the giant warships. Behind her flew 500 more human pilots. "All wings follow me," she said through her radio. "Target their carriers first, make them blind." Her squadron dove toward a carrier the size of a mountain. Fighters tried to stop them, but human ships were faster, smaller, and deadlier. Shin fired her weapons and watched as the carrier broke apart in flames. In 3 minutes, her squadron destroyed 12 carriers. They had never lost a single carrier in battle before. On the ground, Sergeant O led the first wave of human soldiers. They landed on the colony of Prime in drop pods that screamed through the atmosphere like falling stars. Each soldier wore powered armor that made them stronger than 10 warriors. The colonists ran when they saw the humans coming. Sergeant O let them go. His orders were clear. Civilians were not the enemy, only soldiers, only military targets. "Attention, military forces," he announced through speakers that echoed across the colony. "You have 1 hour to surrender. After that, every military installation on this planet will be destroyed. Civilians will be spared if they stay clear of military areas. This is your only warning." The soldiers did not surrender. They thought humans were bluffing. They thought humans were too soft to kill. 1 hour later, Sergeant O proved them wrong. Human weapons turned every military base into dust. Not a single civilian was harmed. Not a single unnecessary life was taken. The humans killed only those who needed to die. In space, the battle continued. The fleet was falling apart. Ships burned and broke and vanished. Commanders screamed orders that no one could follow. The perfect formation became chaos. The Emperor watched from his flagship in horror. He had never seen anything like this. These were not the weak humans he had laughed at. These were monsters from a nightmare. These were predators pretending to be prey. "How is this possible?" he whispered. "They are supposed to be weak. They are supposed to be prey." His admiral turned to him with fear in his eyes. "They were never prey, my Emperor. They were hiding, waiting, and we gave them a reason to stop hiding." The Emperor tried to call for help. He sent messages to every species in the Galactic Assembly. He begged for allies. He promised anything and everything. No one answered. Every species in the galaxy was watching the battle through their sensors. They were watching the die, and they were terrified that they could be next. Commander was not at the battle. He was hiding on a small ship trying to run away. He had heard what was happening to his people. He had heard about the human weapons. He had seen the death of the fleet, and he knew they were coming for him. His ship flew through empty space, far from the fighting. He thought he was safe. He thought the humans would never find him. Then a human ship appeared directly in front of him. It came out of nowhere, blocking his path. The Silent Fury, Captain Lee's stealth destroyer. Crew screamed in fear. They tried to turn, they tried to run, but it was too late. Captain Lee's voice came through the communication system. It was calm and cold. "Commander, we have been following you since you left your... Did you really think you could run? Did you really think we would let you escape?" Felt his heart pounding in his chest. "What do you want? I will give you anything. I will pay any price." "The child you struck," Captain Lee said. "Do you know what she did after you hurt her? After you broke her jaw and left her bleeding on the floor? When she woke up in the hospital, her first words were about you. She asked her mother if the angry alien was okay. She was worried about you. An 8-year-old girl with a broken face, worried about the monster who hurt her." Said nothing, he could not speak. "That is who we are fighting for," Captain Lee continued. "A child who offers flowers to those who hate her. A child who worries about her enemies. And you are not worthy of her mercy, but you will have our justice." The Silent Fury fired a single shot. It did not destroy ship. It disabled it, left it floating dead in space. "We will take you alive," Captain Lee said. "You will watch what happens next. You will see your empire fall. And you will know that it all started because you could not control your hand." Human soldiers boarded ship and took him prisoner. He did not fight. He did not resist. The fight had left him completely. In the system, the last warship died. 10,000 ships reduced to nothing in less than 6 hours. The greatest military fleet in the galaxy destroyed by a force 5 times smaller. Admiral Han looked at the battlefield and felt no joy, only sadness for what had to be done, and cold determination for what still remained. "Set course for the," he ordered. "This is not over yet." The human fleet turned and moved deeper into enemy space. Behind them, the wreckage of 10,000 ships drifted in the silence of space, a warning to the whole galaxy. The humans were no longer hiding, and they would not stop until justice was done. It was a beautiful planet of silver mountains and purple seas. Billions of lived there. Children played in the streets. Families gathered for meals. Workers went about their daily lives. They had heard about the battle. They had heard about the destruction of their fleet, but they did not believe the humans would come for them. They were wrong. The human fleet arrived in the sky above like a dark cloud. 2,000 ships surrounded the planet. They blocked out the sun. They filled every inch of space. The people below looked up and saw only shadow. Admiral Han sent a message to the surface. His voice echoed from every speaker on the planet. "People of your fleet is destroyed. Your colonies have fallen. Your military is gone. We are not here to kill you. We are here for justice. Surrender, Commander, to face trial. Accept responsibility for his crimes, and this war ends today." The Emperor sat in his palace, surrounded by the last of his guards. He had escaped the space battle in a small ship. Now he was trapped on his own world with no way out. His hands shook as he listened to the human message. His advisors begged him to surrender. They told him the war was lost. They told him to save his people while he still could. But pride is a powerful thing. The Emperor had ruled for 200 years. He had never surrendered to anyone. He would not start now. "We will never bow to prey," he announced. We would rather die than submit." Admiral Han received the Emperor's refusal. He nodded slowly. He had expected this answer. "General, begin Operation Silent Dawn." General gave the order from her command ship. She did not smile. She did not celebrate. She simply did what needed to be done. Human ships did not fire weapons at the cities. They did not bomb the population. Instead, they targeted something much more important: infrastructure, power plants, water treatment facilities, communication towers, transportation networks, everything that kept a civilization running. In 1 hour, every light on went dark. Every faucet stopped flowing. Every radio went silent. Every vehicle stopped moving. The entire planet was cut off from itself and from the galaxy. And still, not a single civilian died. They realized something terrible in that moment. The humans could have killed them all. With weapons that could erase ships from existence, destroying a planet would be simple. But the humans chose not to. They wanted the alive. They wanted them to suffer a different kind of defeat. Days passed. Without power, food could not be stored. Without water, people could not drink. Without communication, cities could not coordinate. Chaos spread across like a disease. The people began to turn on their emperor. They gathered outside his palace in angry crowds. They demanded surrender. They demanded peace. They demanded that he stop sacrificing their children for his pride. Commander sat in a human prison ship, watching everything happen on a screen. Captain Lee had ordered it, would see every moment of his empire's fall. He would understand exactly what his single act of cruelty had caused. "Look at what you have done," Captain Lee said, standing beside him. "Billions of lives destroyed because you could not control your anger. An empire built over 10,000 years, falling apart in days, all because you struck a child." Could not look away. Tears ran down his gray face. He had been a proud warrior once. Now he was nothing but a broken creature watching his world die. Far away on Earth, Little was recovering. Her jaw was healing. She could speak again, though it hurt. She watched the news with her mother, Ambassador Park. She saw the images of she saw the hungry children and the frightened families. "Mommy," she said, her voice still weak, "can we make it stop? They are hurting." Ambassador Park looked at her daughter. This child, who had been struck and broken, was worried about her enemies. This child, with metal pins in her jaw, wanted to help the people who had hurt her. "You have a beautiful heart," her mother said, tears in her eyes. "Let me see what I can do." Ambassador Park sent a message to Admiral Han. She told him about words. She told him that her daughter wanted the suffering to end. Admiral Han read the message in his command chair. He thought about it for a long time. Then he ordered a temporary ceasefire. "We will pause our operations," he announced to the fleet. Not out of mercy, but to give them one final chance to choose surrender instead of death. The Emperor received the news of the ceasefire. His advisors told him this was his last opportunity. The humans were offering a way out. All he had to do was take it. For 3 days, the Emperor thought. He walked through his dark palace. He looked at the portraits of his ancestors. He thought about 10,000 years of pride, and he thought about the hungry children in the streets. On the 3rd day, the Emperor made his choice. He appeared on every screen across the galaxy. His face was old and tired. His voice was broken. "I, Emperor of surrender unconditionally to the humans of Earth. We accept full responsibility for the crimes of Commander. We will submit to human justice. We will pay any price they demand. I ask only that they show mercy to my people, who are innocent of their leaders' failures." The Emperor personally went to the human command ship. He walked through lines of human soldiers who watched him in silence. He carried Commander in chains behind him. When he reached Admiral Han, the Emperor fell to his knees. He pushed forward. "Here is the one who harmed your child," the Emperor said. "Do with him what you will. Only please let my people live." Admiral Han looked down at the kneeling Emperor. He felt no satisfaction, only tired sadness. "Rise, Emperor," he said quietly. "Kneeling is for those who have lost their honor. You still have some honor left. You chose to save your people instead of your pride. That took courage." The Emperor rose on shaking legs. He looked into the human's eyes and saw something unexpected. Not hatred, not cruelty, just exhaustion and sorrow. "We thought you were prey," the Emperor whispered. "We thought you were weak. We were the greatest fools in the galaxy." Admiral Han nodded slowly. "You were not the first to make that mistake. You will not be the last, but perhaps you will be the ones who finally teach the galaxy the truth." he looked at, who cowered on the floor in chains. Take him away. He will face human justice, not death, something worse. He will live with what he has done for the rest of his very long life. The war was over, but the consequences had only begun. 6 months had passed since the war ended. The galaxy was a different place now. The Empire no longer existed. Their worlds became protectorates under human supervision. Human administrators helped rebuild what had been destroyed. Human engineers restored power and water. Human doctors treated the sick and wounded. The conquerors became the caretakers. Commander lived in a small cell on a human prison colony. His sentence was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. He was not beaten, he was not tortured, he was not killed. Instead, every day he had to watch recordings of her recovery, her smile returning, her first words after the surgery, her forgiveness of the alien who hurt her. The prison warden explained the sentence to reporters who came to see the famous prisoner. Death would be too easy. We want him to understand what he destroyed. We want him to see the kindness he tried to break. He will watch that child grow up to be happy, and he will know that despite everything he did, he failed to hurt her spirit. Said nothing during these visits. He simply stared at the wall with empty eyes. The proud warrior was gone. Only a hollow shell remained. The Galactic Assembly called an emergency meeting. Every species sent their highest representatives. They had watched humans destroy the most powerful military in the galaxy. They had seen weapons that could erase matter from existence. They were terrified. General came to speak on behalf of humanity. She walked into the great hall wearing her military uniform. Every alien in the room stepped back as she passed. Even the bravest warriors could not meet her eyes. She stood at the center of the hall and looked at the representatives. She spoke in a calm, clear voice that filled every corner of the chamber. You are afraid of us. I can see it in your eyes. You watched what we did to and you wonder if you could be next. You wonder what would happen if you made us angry. The hall was silent. Not a single being dared to speak. Let me tell you something about humans, General continued. We did not want this war. We have lived among you for 50 years asking only for peace. We trade with you. We share knowledge with you. We send our children to play with your children. We want nothing more than to be good neighbors. She paused and let her words sink in. But we have one rule that can never be broken, one line that can never be crossed. You can insult us and we will let it go. You can cheat us and we will negotiate. You can even fight our soldiers and we will meet you on the battlefield with honor. But if you harm our children... Her eyes swept across the room like a weapon. Harm our children, and there is no corner of the universe where you can hide, no fleet that can protect you, no God that can save you. We will find you. We will break everything you have built, and we will make sure you spend the rest of your existence regretting the moment you touched what we love. The representatives trembled in their seats. Some of them had been thinking about challenging humanity. They stopped thinking about it forever. We do not want to rule the galaxy, General said, softening her voice slightly. We do not want an empire. We only want to raise our children in peace. Give us that and we will be the best friends you ever had. Take that from us and we will be the last enemy you ever face. She turned and walked out of the hall. Behind her, 200 species sat in stunned silence. The Galactic Assembly would never be the same. On Earth, Little was healing. Her jaw was almost fully recovered. The scars on her face were fading. She smiled often now, though sometimes she still had nightmares about the alien with the black eyes. Her mother had become a hero among humans. Ambassador Park traveled across human space, speaking about peace and understanding. She told story everywhere she went, not as a story of revenge, but as a story of hope. My daughter offered a flower to someone who hated her, she would say. And when he hurt her, she asked if he was okay. That is who we are. That is who we must always try to be. We are fierce when we must be, but our greatest strength is our capacity for love. wanted to help in her own way. She asked her mother if she could visit the refugee children on the protected worlds. Ambassador Park was worried at first. These were the children of the enemy, but insisted. They flew to a world that had once been a proud colony. Now it was under human protection. Children lived in camps while their cities were being rebuilt. They had lost everything. Many had lost parents in the war. Walked into the camp holding a box of small gifts, candy from Earth, toys, flowers. The children stared at her with wide, frightened eyes. They knew who she was. They knew she was the human child who started the war. Walked up to a small girl who was sitting alone in the corner. The girl shrank back in fear. "Hi," said, sitting down next to her. "My name is, what is your name?" The girl stared at her. She was confused. This was the child her people had hurt. Why was she being kind? "My name is Vila," the girl whispered. Smiled and handed her a small flower, the same kind of flower she had tried to give to. "This is for you. It is pretty, right?" Vila took the flower with shaking hands. Tears ran down her gray face. "Why are you being nice to me? We hurt you. We are the enemy." Thought about this for a moment. Then she shrugged in the way only children can. "You did not hurt me. That was someone else. And my mommy says we are not supposed to blame everyone for what one person did. She says that is how wars never end." Vila looked at the flower. She looked at, and for the first time since the war began, she smiled. Nearby, an old man watched the two girls. He had been a soldier once. He had believed humans were prey. He had cheered when struck the human child. Now he watched that same child offering kindness to his people. Tears ran down his old face as he finally understood the truth. Humans were not prey. They were not monsters either. They were something far more complicated. They were a species capable of unimaginable destruction and unimaginable compassion. They could burn worlds or save them, and they chose which to do based on how they were treated. The galaxy had been given a warning and a gift. The warning was the destruction of the fleet. The gift was this little girl offering flowers to children who had every reason to hate her. Admiral Han retired 1 year after the war. He spent his last day in service visiting and her mother. He brought flowers and apologized to the little girl. "I am sorry for what we did in your name," he said quietly. "We killed many people because they hurt you. I hope someday you can forgive us." Looked at the old soldier with her big, wise eyes. "Did you protect other children? Did you make sure no other little girls got hurt?" Admiral Han nodded slowly. "Yes, I believe we did." Smiled and took his hand. "Then you do not need forgiveness. You were a good protector." The old warrior cried for the first time in decades. This small child had given him peace that years of victory could not. Years passed. The galaxy changed. Humans became respected and feared in equal measure. No species ever forgot what happened to the. No species ever forgot why it happened. And in all the centuries that followed, through wars and treaties and conflicts across 1,000 worlds, one rule held true across the entire galaxy. No one ever harmed a human child again. Not once. Not ever. Because the universe had learned its lesson well. Humans loved their children with a fire that could burn stars, and any species foolish enough to challenge that love would learn, as they had learned, that some lines should never be crossed. The end.